My name is Ashley Carter. I'm 30 years old, and 17 years ago, when I was just 13, my parents told me I wasn't welcome in their home anymore, something I didn't fully understand until much later. And last month, they walked into the will reading of the man who raised me, my great-uncle Daniel Carter, in downtown Denver, Colorado, dressed in expensive black clothes and followed by a private attorney, clearly expecting they were about to inherit a fortune. But by the time the estate lawyer reached the seventh clause of the will, my mother had turned pale and shot out of her chair like she'd just heard a gunshot. And to explain why that happened, I have to go back to 2009 when I was a quiet middle school girl growing up in a small rented house outside Colorado Springs, where love in our family always felt conditional. My father, Michael Carter, worked long shifts as a delivery driver and rarely spoke unless my mother had already decided what needed to be said. And my mother, Janet Carter, worked front desk at a dental clinic and ran our home like a strict manager, deciding who deserved resources and who didn't. My older brother, Kyle, was 2 years ahead of me in school, outgoing, athletic, confident, with my mom's sandy blonde hair and blue eyes, while I looked like my dad's side with darker features and a quieter personality. And no one ever said that was bad, but they never praised me either. The differences showed in everything, from birthdays to school supplies to opportunities. Kyle got a gaming console and a big party for his 16th birthday, while mine was pizza at the kitchen table and a store-bought cake missing a name. But the moment that really changed how I saw my place in the family came when I discovered Kyle had a college savings account that had been growing since he was 5. And when I asked my mom why I didn't have one, she simply said, "You're smart, you'll figure something out." And at 12 years old, I realized I was the kid expected to survive without help. Then, in spring 2009, I secretly applied to a National Engineering Summer Academy at the University of Colorado, a fully funded 6-week program, and when I got accepted, I felt proud for the first time in my life. Until Kyle announced he wanted to attend a private sports training camp in California that cost thousands of dollars. And that night at dinner, my mom calmly told me I would decline my program because they couldn't afford both and Kyle's future had more potential. And something inside me snapped because I said no. And 3 days later, I came home from the library and found my belongings in trash bags on the porch, and my mother standing in the doorway telling me she'd called Uncle Daniel and he would come pick me up, and that from now on, I was his responsibility. And I sat outside for nearly 4 hours before my great-uncle's truck pulled up, and he hugged me without asking questions and told me I had a home now. And what I didn't know was that while I sat outside, they were inside signing legal paperwork, giving up parental rights, and transferring guardianship to him. Uncle Daniel lived in Denver and owned a small but successful commercial maintenance company he built from nothing. And he never treated me like charity, he treated me like family. I worked hard in school, graduated top of my class, earned a scholarship to Colorado State University for business finance, then got my CPA license, and by my late 20s, I was managing financial operations for his company while he slowly stepped back. During all those years, my parents only reached out a few times, always about money or appearances, never about me. Then, in 2024, Uncle Daniel was diagnosed with advanced heart disease and updated his estate planning. He passed away peacefully in early 2025, and a week later, my mother called, pretending to offer condolences, but quickly asked about the will reading. Then I learned they hired an attorney to challenge the will, claiming I manipulated him, but Uncle Daniel had documented everything, including the guardianship transfer from when I was 13. And at the will reading, the lawyer read through the estate assets, including business holdings, investment accounts, and properties worth tens of millions, then read the section stating my parents had voluntarily given up parental rights and therefore had no standing. And then came Clause 7, revealing Uncle Daniel had legally adopted me when I was 15, making me his legal daughter and sole heir. and my mother lost composure completely, demanding it couldn't be legal. Then the lawyer read a personal letter from him saying I was never unwanted and that he didn't rescue me but gave me space to build my own life. After the reading, their attorney later faced disciplinary action for ethical violations tied to conflicts of interest. My mother sent me an email asking to rebuild a relationship, which I politely declined in a short response, explaining I had forgiven her but didn't want contact. Months later, my brother wrote me a letter apologizing for watching me sit on the porch that night and doing nothing, and I agreed to cautious, limited contact on strict boundaries. And now, a year after the will reading, I run the company Uncle Daniel built. We fund scholarships for teens from unstable homes, and I don't feel angry anymore, just certain, because I learned family isn't defined by blood or obligation, but by who shows up when you have nowhere else to go and chooses you anyway.